evening, and we are going to go straight now to our next guest, big friend of the show. Really good to have him back with us as well. Former Haverfordwest County manager Wayne Jones, who was inducted into the club's brand new Wall of Fame at the weekend during the Barla Town game. Wayne, how you doing?
Yeah, very well, thanks, man. Yeah,
It's really good to have you on, and we should start by talking about that on Saturday, because you were a guest of the club, weren't you? And along with Mickey Ellis and Sean Pemberton, you are the first legends to be on the Haverfordwest Wall of Fame. Now, that's a lovely touch, I think, from the club.
yeah, I think it came a bit of a surprise to myself. I was contacted a couple of weeks ago about it, and obviously privileged and honoured. I do think there's a few people should be ahead of myself personally, but I can't complain. I think it's a token of their appreciation for the work I've done over 19 years associated with the club. But very proud and humbled, and obviously the way it was conducted Saturday. Yeah, very thankful.
How
Yeah, I
much
think you. Sorry, I think you're sort of playing it down too much, actually, Wayne. You've been a great ambassador for the club. I remember watching you play for Haverfordwest County during the only team that played in the UEFA Cup back in the day. You played Icelandic team. You were part of that squad. You gone on various promotions as manager of Haverfordwest County. You're a Carmarthen boy as well. So to be inducted into the Haverfordwest County Wall of Fame, it definitely is an honour, Wayne.
Yeah, again, go back to my playing career, God, with the club. I had 6.5 seasons. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And people do remind us, I think they class it as maybe the most successful the club's been in terms of, entering into European competition. And the second season we finished 4th or 5th as well, and just missed out. So that period, I think 2004, 2005, was very good. I think we were undefeated at home for 2 seasons. And I played, I think, was probably 99% of the games. So yeah, that footballing playing side of it, really, really proud of that. And then obviously I was offered the chance to continue in the game in a coaching capacity and then managerial. So I've had great memories with the club. Met great people down there. So yeah, that's bigger than anything for me.
And what about your other two fellow inductees at the weekend? Because I know there'll be two guys you know really, really well. Sean Pemberton was your captain, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And Mickey Ellis, who's done just about every single role going at that football club, and he's a proper unsung hero, isn't he?
Yeah, when I say put people before me, I think Mickey should be in the top 3. There's other people like your Barry Vaughan's, secretary of the club for years, done a lot of work behind the scenes. I gone back to when I was a player as well. I remember people like, you're talking Kenny Ellis. They've done a lot for the club over a 7 or 8 year period as a player for me there. Then you're looking at, David Hughes, obviously there. Rob Summons come in at one stage to save the club with David.
Yeah.
This is obviously in transition when the club was rock bottom. I was part of that as a player in my latter times. The manager, I played under Darren Brace, took the club to Europe. So I, in my eyes, I see these people way ahead of me. Again, I've most probably had a play in a managerial contact with the club more than anyone. And I understand that. But the effort these people have done behind the scenes, I think deserve being ahead of me, if I'm being honest.
I think you're being very modest, Wayne. Absolutely well deserved. And you talk with so much passion about Haverfordwest. It's really good to see. We'll talk about the game on Saturday, but just first, I think this is a really good initiative from the club, and it's continuing the work they're doing. Reaching out to people who've been involved in the past, but also in the community. They're really making an effort to do that at the moment, and that's so important, isn't it, for the club's future? I think.
Yeah, I think it's the way the club's developed. Dave Hughes, to be fair, when obviously chairman there, when I was manager, done a hell of a lot of work. Excuse the language, behind the scenes, and that sometimes he was a one-trick pony. And I say that not disrespectful, but he was pulling a train on his own. I remember the times he was going around getting local sponsorship in. He was organising things behind the scenes. And again, another Sunglan's hero. Got to be up there. Rob's come in with a new initiative. He's brought people in who can support him doing that. He's got enough contacts. He's got a different idea how he wants the club. And I think it's fantastic. I met him a few weeks ago for coffee, and it's the first time I've actually been in the Nest shop there, the club souvenir shop. And I was blown away. I've seen it on pictures on Twitter and that, but to actually be in there, I was looking at it thinking, they're most probably the only team in Welsh football or semi-Welsh football that can brag that they've got their own club shop. Yeah. You know, obviously in the town centre, away with the community initiatives. It's gone on to a new level, which when I first met Rob and the transition of the club taking over, I was told this was going to happen, but you start thinking, oh, you know, talk is cheap, and he's delivered, and I think he's delivering every day, and upward, you know, onwards and upwards. I think it's only going to get bigger and better from what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Are we going to talk about a little bit about the football? When I don't want to put you in a precarious position, but
he will do anyway.
You know exactly what's going on because you went through it last season.
Yeah.
I keep saying to Ben every week, the Welsh Premier is such a hard division. There's only 12 teams, as you know, Wayne, and every team is capable of beating each other. But trying to string a few wins together has been difficult for Haverfordwest County at this moment in time, and it was last season as well. How are we going to get around this? Looking on the outside now, Wayne, not
I think
inside.
The first thing is, you know, Tony's experiencing what I did a little bit, and I spoke to Tony after the game Saturday. He's been unable to field a full strengthened squad. Yeah. You know, he has been hampered with injuries and big players. You know, Jazz now recently, due to his illness, he's unavailable. You've got Shepherd, who's due back. It's nice to see Pat's on his way back. Henry Jones ruled out. I mean, they're your 4 starters if they're available. So you take them away, and you haven't catered maybe for a bigger squad, which, you know, I was guilty of when I was there. You're reliant then on the youngsters coming through, who I must say, a boy of John, they're doing extremely well.
Yeah.
You know, I spoke to Laurie there Saturday, Humphreys, you know, obviously he's injured himself again at the moment.
Yeah.
Watch, he's coming back. He hasn't been able to fulfill a strong team for the last 6 or 7 games. And at this level, with all due respect, it's hard enough when you've got your strongest team. Yeah. When you're 5 or 6, you know, senior players out, I think it becomes mission impossible, and you're scratching your head, you're trying to find a solution. And Tony's experiencing this now, and it's frustrating, it's hard. But one thing I do know with Tony and his experience, along with Waggy, that, you know, they will get it right. Players will come back, results will come. And I've watched them 3 times this year. I mean, they're too good to go down. I can tell you that now. Yeah. There are poorer teams, and I've watched quite a bit over, you know, the season, as I'm not doing much. So I've been up to North Wales, I've been to Mid Wales, and, you know, I've watched games, and there's worse teams than them. You know, I'm 100% sure of that.
Yeah, and we were saying earlier, Wayne, we get people watching from far and wide who maybe don't know as much about the Welsh Premier League as Gordon and Tom go and watch Haverfordwest more than I do. But it's a relentless league, isn't it? So Barla this weekend, then TNS next. It's a difficult league to compete in, and the top teams are strong, aren't they?
They are, you know. I think the one that I watched it here at home was the Aberystwyth, was a big result, because I think knowing you got Barla and TNS, and you go away to Aber, who are on par maybe at the time in some of the results, you're looking for a win there at least, or a draw. But to lose that, and then you go based last Saturday, I mean, obviously the sending off affected things. Then you're prepping them for TNS this Saturday, and you're scratching your head, you're thinking, when things are going against you, they go against you. And it's hard, it's tough, you know, and it's frustrating. And, you know, I was there Saturday, I've seen it, and it was diabolical, the sending off. You know, and
Wayne. Yeah.
I'm in a position I can say it now. I'd most probably get fined if I wasn't before. But, you know, no, I feel for the management staff. Yeah. I feel for Jack himself and the club, because, you know, we're 1-0 up at the time. That happens, and the whole effect changes. Yeah. And it's small margins. And I've watched it again tonight. You know, you can't legislate for it. We all make mistakes, but it tends to be happening, and it's getting worse. You know, the standard is getting worse. The decisions are getting worse.
I was talking to you every week, Wayne, without fail, home and away. And to be honest, you were always honest as well with me. And obviously I had to be careful what I wrote as well. But I never drop you in it. But you were absolutely honest. A few home truths, you know, and obviously the players will feel the effects of it. It does, you know, any player, you know, when you're losing or finding things difficult, confidence is the key word, and it's hard to get confidence when you're going through a run like they are. So I'm hoping on Saturday they could sneak a draw against TNS, or even sneak a win, mate. That would be great. But you can't get too carried away, and as you say, there's a lot of key players out, and that makes it really hard.
Definitely.
What about yourself, Wayne? Obviously, still incredibly passionate for Haverfordwest, but and watching football all over the place by the sounds of it. Are you missing not being involved on a Saturday? Have you had the chance to get back in, and would you take it at some point?
Yeah, I have had chances, and I am missing it. It's a bit contradictory because you're thinking, oh, you're going to dive at whatever, and maybe the only Wolvesey Jones would have, quite impulsive, would have, but I've had to sort of hold myself back and wait for the right club, really. I've been offered different roles as well, not necessarily a manager, but a coach or assistant manager, which I'm open to anything. But the here and now, I'm open for offers. I've had a couple that haven't really floated my boat, but I'd hope to be back in the game. Sorry, by Christmas.
And would it have to be
this
a manager's
Christmas
job?
or next Christmas? Now, eh?
That depends on Santa.
Would it have to be a
you've been
manager's
good.
job, Wayne, or are you open to those coaching roles? Yeah.
I'd be quite happy being assistant manager. I'd done that role when I went to Haverfordwest for 2 years. Less stressful. I just want to get back on the grass, and back at a level where the players are decent, and like I say, I've had offers recently, local league with my mates, and that's no disrespect because it's good enjoyment and fun. But I want to try and keep my standards as high as I can. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe you'll tell us first when you do make that move, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Let's
totally.
Let's talk some other bits because we know you're a massive Wolves fan. What's going on there this season?
Well, we're a bit like the government.
That job's available as well. That job's available.
But no, like you said, I've been up 3 times this year, Ben. I must say I haven't seen them lose yet, nice.
You better go up every week then, Wayne.
Pardon?
You better go up every week then.
Yeah, I think so. That's what my father keeps telling me. But yeah, disappointed at the moment. I think there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, Ben. Obviously, they won't come open and say about it, but obviously the manager's just been sacked. We've lost 4 or 5 good players close season. Your Codys of this world, your Sices, big players for Wolves. And we're not really at that stage as a club. We could be throwing players like that away until we brought in and consolidate. Now the manager's gone, and I think they've said openly that Steve Davis is going to take it on until the new year. And I personally don't think it's good for the club. After yesterday's result against Leicester, I think the board room will be gathered in this week, and I think they'll. I know we've got the World Cup coming in 2 to 3 weeks, but I think I'd like to think there's something be done before that now. But you never know.
In fact, your former chairman Rob Edwards is a Leyton Orient man, isn't he? I think did Steve Davis have it? I think he said something on social media about
I seen it this morning. Yeah, Rob. And I think he knows him personally. Because of Rob's association with Leyton Orient. Yeah. But he's a Wolves fan, Steve. Listen, I said give him the chance, and I was at the game, his first game when we won at home a couple of weeks ago, and you could see the clench with his fist in the air. It meant a lot to him. Yeah. But we obviously lost midweek to Palace and Leicester yesterday. I don't think it's done him any good, but we support him as you do. But it's like my father always said, they'll never come and watch you, and they'll never come and see you when you're unwell. But we still go and support them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Exactly. Other question we wanted to ask you, because in the first part of the show we were talking about the Tottenham Man U game last week. Obviously, I'm a Spurs fan and Gordon's a big Man U fan, but the talking point last week was Ronaldo walking down the tunnel before the game finished. Have you, as a manager, have you ever had an instance where a player hasn't wanted to go on? And I found that so out of character for Ronaldo, because he's a great professional over the years. How would you deal with something like that?
I got to be careful what I say.
He has.
I haven't had them necessarily not come. I've had them not want to come off the pitch.
Yeah.
Just comment on Ronaldo. Get out of it, mate.
Yeah.
Just comment on Ronaldo.
I think I was talking to my friends who are good United fans, and he's come out publicly. Listen, he naturally, I think, wants to get out of there. Financially, no other club will take him. And I think it's gone to the stage football. He's most probably, his advisories have told him to act like that, to try and get him move out quicker.
Yeah.
If you do that, it's going to cause unrest, it's bad, publicity for the club and the children and everything involved. And things like that push a move. And agents and advisories will tell him to do things like that. Deep down, he most probably didn't want to do it. But I think that he's most probably been advised that, to try and come Christmas, New Year, to force a move. That's my own
I was saying to Ben, I'd be quite happy to sit on the bench for 500 grand a week, wouldn't you, Wayne?
Well, yeah.
I don't know. Well, the first is I'd be shaking the manager by the hand and saying, do the same next week. I'll sit here.
Well, I think that's the problem because he's on such high money that no other clubs can afford him at his age. They'll take him.
No.
But better try and cause unrest and get him out of there in different ways.
Any dressing room where you've been the manager, though, Wayne, it is important to have good spirit. And if you have a player whose attitude isn't right, it does have an impact, doesn't it?
It does, and like you said, you're the one who's going to stand in front of a change room. 20 people. You try to treat everyone fairly, and then if you see that, it has a knock-on effect, especially with the youngsters coming through, and then he's a new manager coming in. He's got to try and make a statement. Left him out for the Chelsea game. Then, she's made a point there. Ronaldo's come publicly apologised. He'll come on next week and pop in too, no doubt. But I think, from a managerial point of view, can you go back after that? Like you said, if he's not giving you his own players the respect, I'm not sure. Maybe someone like Ronaldo can. If someone can, it'll be him.
Yeah.
So I think if that happens on the bridge, I don't think Tony will put up with that.
Quite right. Wayne, listen, thank you. It's great to have you back on the show. Congratulations on that recognition at Haverfordwest. Really well deserved.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
It's good to have you on to talk about it. You're welcome anytime, including that exclusive when you do get another job.
I will do. I appreciate it.
all the best, Wayne. Great to see you, and I hope Wolves pick up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, gents. Pleasure as always.
We will take
care, Wayne.
And we're back for the final part of Pure West Sport next.